What's up, everybody? Jim Monk here, and today I'm going to be discussing salt with you and why you probably need to take in more salt than you're taking in at the moment. Now, from research, we know that the amount of sodium that somebody requires is actually very dependent on genetics and environmental factors. So, they've shown that there can be up to a 2 to 3 times difference in the amount of sodium lost per hour of exercise, depending on the type of person. So, what's important to understand about sodium is that a simple guideline like half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of salt a day might not actually be accurate enough for your specific needs. A simple example is the average person will lose half a teaspoon of salt for every hour that they're exercising. So, if you spend 1 hour exercising in a day and you're only taking in half a teaspoon of salt, then you're not taking in enough salt for the rest of your bodily needs. Not to mention that you're going to lose salt through your urine and through the sweating that you're doing in between activities and not even just accounting for the exercise. Now, many people just think of salt in the context of blood pressure or salt actually being a bad thing. Salt actually acts in a number of very important ways in our bodies that are very useful, and you don't want to have these functions shut down. One example of that is salt acts as a mineral gatekeeper. So, your magnesium, your calcium, your selenium, your copper, all the other very important, vital, essential minerals are lost at a greater degree when there's low sodium in the body. So, sodium acts as a signal to the kidneys to trigger retention of the other minerals. Now, obviously, preserving these minerals is quite important. Magnesium, calcium, zinc, all of these minerals play very vital roles in our bodies. And as it is, most people are already deficient in these minerals. So, if you're not taking in enough salt, what will happen is that you're going to become deficient in magnesium, calcium, and zinc and other minerals. What's even worse than that is if the body is in a sodium deprived state, it will actually go and extract sodium from your bone minerals. Now, the knock on effect of having low sodium is that your body begins to leach the sodium from your bones, but then it's leaching calcium and magnesium as well. Now, you have this flood of calcium and magnesium in the body in great excess, more than the body is supposed to have, because it's actually trying to get that sodium from the bone mass. And now you end up in a situation where your body begins wasting calcium and magnesium at a very rapid rate to get rid of this excess, and you begin losing those vital minerals and nutrients that you need. So, if you increase your sodium, or at least have adequate sodium for your sweating needs, for your biological needs, for how much your kidneys require or how much your kidneys waste, then you'll be in a more optimal state. In that more optimal state, you'll be less concerned about the problems like blood pressure because your magnesium and calcium, zinc, all these other minerals play important blood pressure regulation functions in the body. And so the concern around sodium and blood pressure is rather overstated. If you look at the research, the actual difference in blood pressure that sodium restriction causes is small. There is a small difference when you do decrease salt and blood pressure. However, that small decrease may not actually necessarily solve your hypertension. So if you're highly hyperretensive with a blood pressure, let's say 150, complete sodium restriction will not even be enough to reduce your blood pressure back into range. We've seen from research that some of the highest numbers of in reduction that you can achieve by reducing sodium in blood pressure is maybe 15. And so that's not going to get you from 150 back to 120. And so sodium might not be the best way to actually approach dealing with blood pressure. You might want to look at getting adequate sodium consumption. Don't overconsume sodium because that will press your already existing blood pressure problem up. But slowly eat more salt until you're eating enough. And one of the ways that you can test if you're getting enough salt in is your sensitivity to salt. So when you're eating, if food tastes bland and you add salt and it tastes better, then you're probably a little bit sodium deficient and you need that salt. But if your food begins to taste too salty, then you're probably overdoing it a little bit and you need to cut back. And so allow the body to regulate itself and use the natural built-in control mechanisms to determine how much salt you need to consume. Salt also plays an important role in stomach acid production, which is very important for optimal digestion and proper absorption of our nutrients. So restricting your sodium intake could have a very deleterious effect on your ability to produce enough stomach acid. And the reason for that is that salt, at least the forms that we generally consume, are sodium chloride, and that chloride ion gets used by the stomach to produce hydrochloric acid, which is what your stomach uses as the primary acidic agent and the primary digester. And Stomach acid production is very important because it helps kill microbes, pathogens, bacteria, and things that are in our food. And we don't want those things going into the digestive system where they don't belong. Now, if you are struggling with high blood pressure, there's 3 simple things you can do right away to start improving your blood pressure. Actually, 4. The first one is improve your sleep quality. Poor sleep quality raises your blood pressure because of the extra stress. If you're overweight, you need to lose some fat and get leaner. It's well known that the heavier you are, the higher your blood pressure tends to go, and this is a very quick and easy way to reduce your blood pressure is to lose some weight. The next one is to get more sunlight. Sunlight actually increases nitrous oxide production in the body. It also gives you lots of vitamin D, which is fantastic for your insulin sensitivity and your immune system function overall. But sunlight will give you a combined effort of both improving your body composition, so you're going to it'll help you lose weight. It's not necessarily going to solve the problem, but it'll help with weight loss and it will help with blood pressure directly. And then the last one is just get lots of minerals in. Eat lots of vegetables and foods that are high in minerals, high in micronutrients, and get a healthy diet. And this will already begin to resolve many of your blood pressure issues. And then lastly, the other thing is stress management. Psychological and work and life-related stresses can be a factor in blood pressure. And so you should look at some meditation practices or other things to reduce stress and manage stress. And lastly, what I want to say about salt is go slow. If you've been eating very, very little sodium for a long period of time, gradually increase the amount of salt. Don't just start pouring salt on all of your food because you will have a very massive spike in your blood pressure if you do that. Remember, the body adapts over time, and so take it slow, add a little bit of salt, and then see how you feel. And also, if you do have any pre-existing blood pressure conditions, do just monitor that so you make sure that you're not putting an extra stress on your heart and or kidneys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been helpful. Remember, salt is not your enemy, salt is your friend, and use the right amount. And once again, listen to your body. Have a nice day.